Intellectual revolution. Intellectual revolution is term used to create speculation about nature. It is in the period of Socrates. Therefore, it is also known as the pre-Socratic or non-theological or the first philosophy. And then, the first philosophy before Socrates has a characteristics features, and we have three. Number 1, the world is a natural whole. Said to be the supernatural forces do not make anything happen because the world is a natural whole. And number 2, characteristics of the first philosophy is that there is a natural order. Therefore, there are laws of nature. Diba? Katong mga na-discover sa mga tao. For example, laws of gravity, law of inertia, law of motion, uban pang mga laws. Number 3, humans can discover those laws. That's the third characteristics in the first philosophy in the pre-Socratic or non-theological. So once again, intellectual revolution is a Greek speculation about nature. Nicholas Copernicus. Nicholas Copernicus was a mathematician and an astronomer who proposed that the sun was stationary in the center of the universe and the earth revolved around it. Ano yung gitawag na heliocentric model. But before the work of Copernicus, principles of classical astronomy involving the four elements, namely earth, water, air, and fire were followed. And then, katong first human or first thinkers in the period of pre-Socratic age was Thales in the town of Miletus. Thales. Thales. So sa iya, the basic substance of the world is water. That is said to be his first principle, mao nang naay solid, liquid, and gas. He also observed the principles of condensation, rarefaction, evaporation, and so on. And then, before in heliocentric model of Nicholas Copernicus, there was Aristotle, who believed that the earth is the true center of all the orbs carrying the heavenly bodies around it, and all motions are uniform and unchanging. So katong sa lesson 1, wala ko kabalo kung ingon ba ni ma'am, the church was the center of all knowledge and information. It's because knowledge and information is in line with the teachings of church. So, whoever opposes the teachings of the church, diri ni Aristotle, the geocentric model, geo means earth, center, kumbaga, ang tudlo ni Aristotle is naka-abided by the church. It is because the center is earth and si God, gi-create niya ang earth, and then it means nag-focus siya sa earth kaya dito siya nag-create of life. Therefore, the earth is the center of universe. But when Nicholas Copernicus presented his proposal about the heliocentric model, has a huge impact on society. Kaya nga no, ang tudlo man sa mga kay geocentric model na idakong paradigm shift. Ug ayaton hitabo, si Nicholas Copernicus kay na-excommunicated siya. Napanisyan siya sa kay nag-oppose siya. Pero iya tong gipanindigan. Nya karon kay natinood man. So dapat ato tong sundan. Mao nang nasa iyang essay which is mo ni on the revolution of the heavenly spheres. Okay, next one, we proceed to Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin or Darwinian revolution. So Darwin's theory of evolution is widely held notion that all living organisms are related and have descended from a common ancestors. So according to Darwinian revolution, so it is said that life came from a single cell organism. And then nagmutate, nagproduce, nag-acquire ng several features, and then na imong ingunani, ingunana, mao nang naay na first plants, first animals, and then nagproduce tong mga apes, and through apes daw na-produce ang mga humans. through evolution. And then Darwin's general theory presumes that development of life from non-life and stresses a purely naturalistic descent with modification from non-living thing it produced and spontaneous generation or spontaneous accumulation of non-living things. For example, is carbon dioxide, interaction of carbon dioxide, ammonia and nitrogen, phosphoric acid. It can make interactions because of some external factors like lightning. The first place is a hot molten rock full of storms, then the water is a molten lava. Because of those interactions, those non-living thing, it can make spontaneous accumulation, becomes living things. It becomes first single cell and then evolved and produces the first plant cell and first animal cell. And then it explains that complex creatures evolved from more simplistic ancestors naturally over time, as random genetic mutations occur within an organism. Genetic beneficial mutations are preserved because they aid survival, which is the process of natural selection. So it is organisms which has favorable traits are produced due to random genetic mutation, which leads to the preservation of their descendants. So survival of the fittest, wherein the better adapt the species is the more fitted it is to reproduce. So for example, in this picture, the rocks are very dark and there is a black and a tan mice. And then sa sky na mga eagles nga nagpuyo and they prey the mice. And then because of the environment, therefore there was a camouflage process and the dominant are the tan mice. Therefore katong makit-an ra sa eagle as a source of food is katong mga visible out sa mga dark mice. Therefore ang makaon sa eagle kay katong mga tan mice instead sa dark mice. So there was a natural selection between favorable traits because of the environment where the rocks are black. The black mice will be favorable there. Therefore, what can be eaten mostly is the tan mice, and there was a decrease in the population of tan mice and increase the population of black mice. So there was a evolution. So guys, always remember, evolution is not because there has been a change in physical form, but evolution is also a change the genetic composition of the population. Next one is Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud is the father of psychoanalysis and one of the 20th century's most influential thinkers. He believed that when people explain their behavior to themselves or others, they rarely give a true account of their motivation, not because they are deliberately lying, but because they are more adept at self-deception. So, rationalization of people conducts are there for this guy, seeing the real reasons. And then, Sigmund Freud also created the structure of theory of personality that emphasized the role of unconscious psychological conflicts in shaping behavior and personality. So, personality is the combination of characteristics or qualities that form an individual's indistinctive or individual distinctive character. And what are the three major components of personality? And these three components parts effects of the mind affecting human behavior, and these are id, ego, and superego. So what is id, ego, and superego? Number 1, id is made up of unconscious psychic energy that works to satisfy the basic urges, needs, and desire. It is the only part of personality that is present at birth, and that is primitive of personality existed coolly within the unconscious. So it is said that it is present in birth because during katong mga baby pa ta, ang gusto lang nato kay, di ba, sige ra tag hilak, gutom, o mga attention, because That's the only part of our lives that needs to satisfy the basic needs, urges, and our desires. That's why they call primitive component of personality. The next is superego. Superego is composed of people internalized ideas acquired from parents and society. So the superego works to suppress the urges of the id and tries to make the ego behave morally rather than realistically. So aside from the morals and values that people have learned from their parents' ideals contribute to the formation of the superego. Also includes the ideas of right and wrong. So unsay sakto ug mali. What that they acquire from society and culture in which they live in. So superego is your conscience. It's the one who dictates if that's right and he balances the action of the ego. For example, work ang superego. Dili nimo kuhaon ng cake. Okay? Because kabalo ka nga sayop o gulay batas sa mga cake sa lain tao. Mo na superego. That is the one who dictates right and wrong. And lastly, the ego. The ego is the one that mediates the demand of the id primitive urges and also the superego. He minimizes that he becomes the middle of the three. And then, he seems to be directing what is reality. It prevents people from acting under moral and idealistic standard created by the superego, as if not being compromised the need of id and the need of the superego, and he balances and he confirms to what is realistic. The ego operates based on the reality principle which works to satisfy its desire in a manner that is realistically and socially appropriate. It is less primitive than the id at is partly unconscious and partly unconscious. So, nakakita kag tao nga naay cake or gakaon siya cake. Instead kuhaon mo iyang cake, imo na lang buhaton kay magpalit kag cake. Therefore, you satisfy your id that you need to eat a cake. And then, at the same time wala kay gibuhat nga mali, which is the need of your which is the need of superego. Your ego will mediate between the id and the superego and your urge to satisfy your desire for a cake, while also avoiding the shame on getting somebody's cake. Freud believed that the id, ego, and superego are instant conflict and that adult personality and behavior are rooted that the results of these internal struggles throughout childhood.
Mesoamerican region is rich in culture and knowledge prior to the arrival of its European colonizers. The Maya civilizations. The Maya civilizations is one of the famous civilizations that lasted for approximately 2,000 years. These people are also known for their works in astronomy. They absorbed or incorporated their advanced view or understanding of astronomy into their temples and other religious structures or godly anatomy, which allows them to use their temples and other religious structures. So, this is one of the examples of their works, the La Pirámide de Chichén Itzá or the Pyramid at Chichén Itzá in Mexico, is situated at the location of the sun during the spring and fall equinoxes. Predicting eclipse and using astrological cycles in planting and harvesting was one of the Mayans' proof by their knowledge and awareness or understanding about celestial bodies. So, Mayans are also known for using too complicated calendar by measuring time. The Mayan calendar system. These calendars were very useful for their life, especially in activities and observing the religious rituals and cultural celebrations. This calendar was used to determine important activities related to their gods and humans. It was also used to name individuals, predict the futures, decide on an auspicious date for battles, marriage, and so on. Not just the calendar, they also developed some technologies, like technologies for growing different crops and buildings, elaborate cities using ordinary machineries, and built hydraulic system with sophisticated waterways to supply water to different communities. Furthermore, they use various tools and adapt themselves to innovations, especially in field of arts. The Mayans built looms for weaving clothes and devised a rainbow of glittery paints made from a mineral called mica. They are also believed to be one of the first people to produce rubber products 3,000 years before Goodyear received its patent in 1844. The Mayans are considered one of the world's first civilizations to use a writing system known as the Mayan hieroglyphics. They were also skilled in mathematics and created a number system based on the numerical 20. Moreover, they independently developed the concept of zero and positional value even before the Romans did. The Inca civilizations. Inca civilizations is one of the famous in Mesoamerica. The Inca made the advanced scientific ideas considering the limitations as an old civilizations. The following were scientific ideas and tools that they developed to help them in everyday life. Number 1. Roads paved with stones. Number 2. Stone building that surmounted earthquakes and other disasters. 3. Irrigation system and technique for storing water for their crops to grow in all type of lands. 4. Calendar with 12 months to mark the religious festival and prepare them for planting season. 5. The first suspensions bridge. 6. Kipo, a system that noted ropes to keep records that only experts can interpret. And lastly, Inca textile, since cloth was one of the special prized artistic achievements. Another civilization is called the Aztec civilization. Following the Inca, the Aztec civilization has also made substantial contribution to science and technology and the society as a whole. Some of their contributions are the following. 1 is the mandatory education, the Aztec chocolates, antispasmodic medications, chinampa, Aztec calendar, and lastly, invention of the canoe. The mandatory education. The Aztec puts value on education. That is why their children are mandated to get education, regardless of their social class, gender, or age. It is an early form of universal or exclusive education. Second is the chocolates. The Aztec in Mexico developed chocolate during their time. In Mayan culture, they use it as a currency. The Aztec valued the cacao beans highly and made it as part of their tribute to their gods. Third is the antispasmodic medication. They use a type of antispasmodic medication that could prevent muscle spasms and relax muscles, which could help during surgery. Fourth is the chinampa. It is a form of Aztec technology for agricultural farming in which the land was divided into rectangular areas and surrounded by canals. Fifth is the Aztec calendar. This enabled them to plan their activities, rituals, and planning season. And lastly, the invention of the canoe, a light narrow boat used for traveling in water system. And this is the end of my discussion. This is Jesami Alibio, member of Group 1. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jerica Tiadalid. I am the third and last reporter of the group. My report is all about the development of science in Asia. is varied depending on the country and time. In the past, the Asian civilization most notable for their contribution to science and technology were India, China, and the West Asian civilizations. At present, probably the most notable country in Asia in terms of this technological and scientific achievement is Japan, which is particularly known for its electronics and automobile products. In recent years, China and India have also once again become major contributors to science and technology. In India, they creatively develop various ideas and technologies useful in their everyday lives. They are also known for manufacturing iron and in metallurgical works. Their iron steel is considered to be the best in the whole of Roman Empire. Development of science in India. They are famous in medicine that originated in ancient India before 2500 before Christ. They also discovered some medicinal properties like plants that lead them to develop medicine to cure various ailments. India also notable in the field of astronomy. When we say field of astronomy, it is concerned with celestial objects including the solar system. They developed theories on the configuration of the universe, including the spherical self-supporting Earth and the year of 360 days with 12 equal parts of 30 days each. India, also known for their mathematics. People of this civilization, according to Bses 1982, tried to standardize measurement of length to a high degree of accuracy and designed a ruler, the Mohenjo-daro ruler. This is the Mohenjo-daro ruler. In China, science and technology have developed rapidly during the 1990s to 2010. China has made rapid advances in areas such as education, infrastructure, high-tech manufacturing, academic publishing, patents, and commercial applications, and now, in some areas and by some measures, a world leader. Development of science in China. Among the famous discoveries and inventions of the Chinese civilizations were compass, paper making, gunpowder, and printing tools. They also invented other tools like iron plug, wheelbarrow, and propeller. In the field of astronomy, the Chinese also made a significant records on supernovas, lunar and solar eclipses, and comets. Here are the pictures. And also, they observe the heavenly bodies to understand weather changes and seasons that may affect their daily lives. They use lunar calendars. China made substantial contributions in various fields. The list of their discoveries and inventions is overwhelming. These contributions were made along with mathematics, logic, philosophy, and medicine. However, cultural factors prevented these Chinese achievements from developing to modern science. Next, in the Middle East countries. The Middle East countries are dominantly occupied by Muslims. With the spread of Islam in the 7th and 8th centuries, a period of Muslim scholarships, or what is called the Golden Age of Islam, lasted until the 13th century. Development of science in Middle East countries. Irrigation from Iran. It is an agricultural irrigation that has been invented at many times and places. Persian windmills. The vast bulk of all wind power historically has been used to drive sailing vessels. Still, after a millennium and a half, fixed-point wind power remains one of the most promising methods of generating clean energy. Harvesting fertilizer. The famous medieval dovecotes or pigeon towers of Isfahan in Iran, they are usually regarded as architectural attraction, but they are also the most visible part of a larger technology. Desalinization in Saudi Arabia. The oil-rich water-poor Gulf states have become a laboratory for desalinization, and for some decades have been able to work on this problem with an almost unlimited budget. Reforestation and erosion control. The Middle East was heavily deforested by the dawn of history, and combating erosion and desertification have been constant challenges. Lastly, Africa. Africa is blessed with natural and mineral resources. Science is also emerged in this part of the planet long before the Europeans colonized it. The history of science and mathematics show that similar to other ancient civilizations in Africa are knowledge producers too. Development of science in Africa. Math. Surely only a few of us know that many modern high school level concepts in mathematics first were developed in Africa, as was the first method of counting. Second is astronomy. Several ancient African cultures birthed discoveries in astronomy. Many of these are formulations on which we still rely, and some were so advanced that their mode of discovery still cannot be understood. Metallurgy and tools. Many advances in metallurgy and tool making were made across the entirety of ancient Africa. These include steam engines, metal chisels and saws, copper and iron, tools and weapons, nails, glow, carbon steel, and bronze weapons, and art. Architecture and engineering. Various past African societies created sophisticated built environments. Of course, there are the engineering feats of the Egyptians, the baffling race obelisks, and the more than 80 pyramids. The largest of the pyramids covers 13 areas and is made of 2.25 million blocks of stone. Later, in the 12th century and much farther south, there were hundreds of great cities in Zimbabwe and Mozambique. Medicine. Many treatments we use today were employed by several ancient peoples throughout Africa. Before the European invasion of Africa, medicine in what is now Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa, to name just a few places, was more advanced than medicine. Some of these practices were the use of plants with salicylic acid for pain and kaolin for diarrhea. Here's the picture. And that's all my topic for development of science in Asia. Thank you.